I got a question on Twitter that I wanted to answer in the form of a video. The question says, hey, I'm in your Live Free Academy. I have a question about your philosophy on exit and build. I understand the concept, but I'm confused now because the Amish people live the exit and build lifestyle. They turned out in massive numbers this year to vote for Trump. In a video interview, someone asked why, and he said it was because Biden was putting restrictions on them for raw milk. Is it realistic to be a parallel economy, to truly be a parallel economy, not participate in elections, and expect that the government isn't going to affect your parallel economy? Thank you for your insights. Okay, so I'm going to turn this into a walk and talk. All right, so the question has a lot to do with voting. So just right off the bat, like if people want to go vote, then by all means vote. I didn't vote. I haven't voted in over, I don't know, like 15 years or something. But prior to that, maybe it was less than 15. Prior to that, I voted in every single election. Nobody that I ever voted for except for one person actually won. And I voted down ballot. I was campaign manager for people. Did petition initiatives, helped to transform the city of Austin government from at large, where there was basically like a few neighborhoods. All the council members were Democrat, elite, wealthy. In these few neighborhoods, we switched it to 10 districts with an at-large mayor. Not that it made any difference in the city of Austin by any means, but nonetheless, my point is, I did all that stuff and it didn't create any iota of more freedom for me. So I don't vote. I'm done. I'm over it spiritually. Also, I don't want to lend my credence. I don't want to signal my subservience. I don't want to voluntarily choose a different ruler. So that's one thing. Another thing, and I'm just going to get like the practical stuff out of the way, then we'll get into like exit and build and what we can really do to achieve autonomy. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight either. So practically speaking, when it comes to the Donald, the Trumpster, there's a lot of stuff. Everybody seemed to have just taken his word for everything. Any promise that was made, everybody's just eating it up as though it's fact. Case in point, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being appointed to run the Health and Human Services. Now, that very well may happen, and I hope that it does. But Trump's co-chair of his transition team said on CNN a few days ago that there's no way he's not going to have a job at Health and Human Services. I just want to point out that none of this stuff is going to happen for sure. Not to mention the positive things that Trump's promised may not happen, or it may be in some roundabout way or watered down way. But then there's a lot of stuff that Trump's going to carry forward that is completely antithetical to freedom. It's going to continue to pump up the money supply just as he did when he was in office before. He's going to continue to grow and expand the military-industrial complex just as he did when he was in office before. He's going to probably give even more money to Israel just as he did when he was in office before. There's going to be all sorts of surveillance technology going on. This mass roundup of illegal immigrants and migrants, I know everyone's all hoorah about that, but in order to execute the biggest deportation that's ever happened, mass deportation, it's going to take a massive ramping up of the police and surveillance state. The infrastructure and institutions that get built in order to pull off this massive project aren't going to go away. So there's all sorts of stuff, not to mention the CBDCs. The CBDCs, he says he's against CBDCs, but there's an underhanded way that's going to be rolling out. I'm doing a webinar about that. I'll share some links for that. But to answer the question, I'm trying to make the point that just voting for Trump doesn't mean everything's going to be okay. And so to answer the deeper question, the parallel economy, ultimately what I want to encourage people to do, we have total freedom, complete exit. We have total slave, completely in the system. And a lot of people in our community are around here. There's some people like Derek Bros, and there's like some sovereign types, and people that haven't paid taxes in a long time, people that maybe live out in the woods and maybe got a little compound going on or whatever, and they don't have a corporate job, and they're like way over here towards freedom, agorism. But most people, they'll have a 401k, an IRA, a corporate job, a mortgage, kids in school, whatever it may be. And so what I want to encourage people to do is to take proactive steps towards creating greater freedom for yourselves and to leverage what I like to call the inside-outside strategy. All right, so two things. One, exit and build. Exit the systems you disagree with, slavery systems, centralized coercive systems, build new systems, participate in these decentralized voluntary systems. Exit and build. We say exit and build, but in all reality, what we need to be doing is building new systems, building the parallel economy, setting up our own crypto wallets, trading amongst ourselves, hiring one another, growing our own food, trading amongst ourselves, food, all that stuff, living together in the country, exiting the cities, building community in the country. We need to build so we may exit. We need to build and do all the hard work so as to transition to the point where we can completely live in the parallel economy wholeheartedly. Okay, so that's one piece. In the meantime, as we're doing that effort, I want to encourage people to leverage the inside-outside strategy. This is something I put forward in the CBDC exit plan. The inside-outside strategy holds that not everybody's going to go completely outside the system. They may put themselves at risk. They may put their retirement at risk. But what you need to do is, maintain your inside the system life, but start building outside the system so as to be prepared for the potential or inevitable day that you need to transition all the way outside the system. Okay, so case in point, it wasn't very long ago in America's history and all across the globe that the predator class was trying to force people to take a shot. They got people to acquiesce, they got the social pressure campaign, but then they started saying, hey, if you don't take the shot, then we're going to take away your ability to earn a living because you can't work at this employer anymore. And a lot of people are faced with some difficult decisions. A lot of people that were aware of the New World Order and that the shot was bad, they acquiesced and buckled. And then other people lost their job and were put in a difficult situation. So the point is, we know what their playbook is. We know that they're going to try to socially engineer people to twist their arm until they say uncle in order to take a shot, in order to comply with some carbon output tracking software, whatever, vaccine passport, whatever the future holds, social credit score, CBDC. So make sure that you're not in a vulnerable position where when they try to put the squeeze on you, you're forced to do something that you wouldn't normally have done. And the way to avoid being in that difficult decision is to go ahead and start building yourself an exit ramp. So what does that look like? Well, if all your income, and then what I teach people in my Live Free Academy Accelerator membership with our activation plan we put together is to go ahead and identify those areas that you're most vulnerable to their control, which areas you're most dependent on their systems, on their institutions. Case in point, somebody that's retired and earns their entire income from Social Security or even from their IRA or 401k is very likely that this will be transitioned into some CBDC type system, and there could be strings attached to that CBDC. So if you're entirely dependent on Social Securities and all of a sudden the Social Securities have strings attached, Social Security money has strings attached, you could be facing difficult situations. So what do? You try to figure out some source of outside the system income. Doesn't mean go full on entrepreneur, come out of retirement, but figure some way to trade with someone, some little side gig or side hustle, whatever it may be, to start bringing in $500, $1,000, whatever it may be. Because if you're faced with that difficult decision and all of a sudden your sustenance, your ability to earn a living goes away, your income goes away, then you lean heavy into that other space. But in the meantime, you play the inside and the outside game, inside, outside. But the ultimate idea, my friends, is that it's going to take a nice, slow, long transition. It's not the case that because we're anarchists and we subscribe to exit and build strategy that we're all going to be free. The price of liberty is, in fact, eternal vigilance. What we can hope to do, though, is adopt a bigger picture view of this freedom game that we're all involved in, decouple ourselves from the notion that we're only in it for ourselves, and ask ourselves, how are my actions in the present moment affecting the future 7 generations to come? That's an old indigenous wisdom thing. And when you start to think in those bigger picture terms, you're not just worried about your own freedom, you're not just worried about your own well-being, your own financial status, your own ability to maintain a good quality of life, a high standard of living for you and your family. You're asking yourself questions like, what can I do today to ensure that the future generations aren't born into a system of total enslavement? And I tell you what it has to do with is building these alternatives, growing the counter economy, starting an entrepreneurial endeavor or supporting folks that do, getting the kids together, bringing families together, growing our own food, using decentralized sensor-proof technology, folks. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. But ultimately, we need to start working towards systems and institutions that are wholly unencumbered from the state. Slowly but surely, there's a whole lot of us out there. We outnumber them. We need to out-organize them. Myself, my good friend Derek Bros, Alex X been dropping some haymakers too. A lot of us are exploring this, living this, trying this, working on this, sharing our ideas. We need you guys to join us, take part in all this. If anybody wants to follow the work I'm doing with Live Free Academy, where we're helping people to exit and build, you can get our free daily email newsletter. And if you sign up, we actually send you a really awesome 2-hour video on how to hack your habits and 10x your goals so you can be more effective in the exit and build game. You can get that for free at livefree.academy/newsletter, livefree.academy/newsletter. I hope this helps, and I hope it answers your question there. Let's go, guys. Let's stay positive. We got this.